Welcome to another edition of this week's Emeev, and we are going to kick off by saying thank you to all of you who listened and tuned in to last week's episode. Huge number. We appreciate everyone who listened and enjoyed it. If you're back from last week and you haven't hit that subscribe button, hit the button below and join in and the conversation as well. Give us your picks and bets. We're going to be breaking down UFC Moscow this week. With the headline act is going to be Zabit versus Kattar, so we're looking forward to that one. Not a bad scrap at all, Will. And just a quick kind of roundup, Will, of UFC 244. What'd you think of that, bro?
No, I love the card. You couldn't not love the card really with everything that was just kind of bandied about the whole fight week, and then the fights delivered as well. There was some like highlight finishes, some big finishes. There was some big moments. There was some new stars came through. There was some some previous stars that kind of re-emerged. If you're looking at Kevin Lee bodying Gregor Gillespie like he did,
that was insane.
And then there was people like Corey Anderson who just came out there and absolutely blew Johnny Walker out of the water. Which I picked him to win, and I thought he had a really good chance to win, but I didn't see him putting the nail in the coffin in the first round. So. Yeah, it was a great fight card. I actually thought the main event was actually the stoppage. I thought was right. Like Diaz, I know Diaz is coming out and saying fourth and fifth round. It wasn't. Doesn't matter what was going on in that fourth or fifth round. Masvidal was going to win that fight, and Masvidal looked amazing from the second that fight started. Caught him inside a minute or 50 seconds or something it was, and took over the fight and just absolutely he beat Nate Diaz's ass. Bad, like really badly, where he should have been a bigger betting favourite by far. And he's the kind of guy in the UFC, and he's putting his hat out there and see if anybody wants to come and fight him for it. He's probably next in line at welterweight if he wants it. Does he want it? I don't know, but it was a really good card. Like I say, it's when you get those cards that you're looking forward to and you expect it to be big, and then it is big. That always really helps. So yeah, really good card, and looking forward to getting some more of those big fight cards. I think we've got one at 245, which seems to be up in there. Maybe not.
I think they've got about 500 fights on that. It seems they keep announcing fights all the time for it.
Yeah, it looks like it. So, but we've got the three big title fights, and there's many good fights in the undercard, and that one, Jan and Faber, and I'm intrigued to see what Aldo's going to do at 135, because that baffles me how that guy can even get close to making that weight. So
exactly, it must have so much atrophy because he struggled to make 145.
It makes no sense to me. I think, and I've seen a couple of pictures of him banding around already, and he looks like a zombie. So yeah, I'm not sure about that. But like I say, that's for next month.
It is indeed, and we're going to obviously go over to the Russia-Moscow card, and we're going to break that down now. And at the end, keep tuned in, because Will is going to give some little hints and tips towards the betting side. So let's kick off, Will. Down at the bottom, I'm just going off the structure of the card that I have at the moment. Will obviously change with these additions here. We have Ed Herman against Khadijas Ibrahimov. Now, enjoy my pronunciations, ladies and gentlemen, because they're going to be horrendous.
Yeah, I'm going to first come out and say, like, I've had the worst week work-wise. Like, days off I should get. I've been in work and I've been working long hours, so I have really not watched a hell of a lot. So I'm kind of going off just got feelings and can remember him from previous fights. But I like Khadijas Ibrahimov, whatever his name is. I think your pronunciation thing's caught up in me, or maybe just stupid tiredness. But yeah, it was supposed to be, I think it was Antigulov against Herman. And I think that was, I like that for Antigulov, but I actually quite like this for Khadijas here. I think that he came out in that first one against Da Young-un, I think it was, and looked good in the first round, but completely gassed himself out, completely blew his wad. And that's the big worry here, that he comes in here against a very experienced Ed Herman who probably knows every trick in the trade. He could get in there and maybe just make this kid tire himself out, and then once he tired himself out, there's openings aplenty for Herman to maybe capitalise on that. But I'm going to take the Russian here. I think that, like I said, I am worried because he's coming in here on short notice. So if he hasn't fixed some of the holes, and especially with the cardio and the fight IQ, because that's a fight IQ thing.
Yeah.
you have to realise that when you're throwing as many punches as that guy was throwing in the space of 30 seconds, that you're going to be depleted after. And he could make that same decision again, but like I say, Ed Herman's a little bit kind of long in the tooth. I'll take the young Russian, but would it surprise me if Ed lapped something up or knocked him out? Nope, but I'm going to go Cadiz for the win here.
I'm going to go with the carrot top. I'm going Ed. I am going with the golden oldie, Ed Herman. I think that Cadiz, like I say, the last fight I just thought fight IQ was poor. I wasn't overly pleased with that, and I thought Ed is too, like you say, long in the tooth. He just knows the fight game. He knows how to pace himself, and when you hit Ed, that kind of wakes Ed up, and he gets engaged in the fight, and he swings. And do you know what? To be fair to Ed Herman, he's not the most athletic, but the dude's got good strikes. He lands some good strikes. He's good at picking his shots. He hits hard, and he'll bite down. Cadiz, when he went kind of berserker mode, they weren't very technical picked shots. He just, like you say, Will, it was almost just berserker mode and hoped he landed, and he didn't, to be fair. A lot of them missed. A lot of them didn't really do much, and that really worried me. And I thought, he's going to hit Ed Herman, because Ed Herman is hittable. So my only worry is, if he hits Ed, what can he do? You know, if he hits Ed Herman, does he keep landing on Ed? Does he just go berserker mode again? You know, it's a worry in my mind. So I'm going to be interested to see how that goes down. So I'm going to pick Ed on that one. Next up, we have in the light heavyweight division, Alexander Yakovlev against Roosevelt Roberts. Yakovlev cutting down at 155. This is just, it's insane. Like, that dude is shredded at 155. Like, he is gangly, long. And Roosevelt, you know, is quite tall, long for that weight class, and he's got a guy who's going to actually be longer, reach-wise, height-wise, everything. So it's going to be interesting to see how Roosevelt handles Yakovlev, because I thought that Roosevelt is still a bit young in the game. He's still not the finished product, and I think Yakovlev's not an easy fight to have. I think he's going to have trouble here, Roosevelt. I think he'll have problems with Yakovlev with the strength factor for a start. If I'm Yakovlev, I realise that I'm big and strong in this weight class. I'm going to be trying to get this fight to the ground, if I'm honest. Going to try and get the fight down, get the grappling exchanges going, and see what I can do and tie this guy up. So yeah, I look forward to seeing how that goes down with the two of them. But yeah, I don't know what's going to happen with Roosevelt handling the grappling exchanges with Yakovlev. I think on the feet, Yakovlev could land some good shots. As long as he's a bit patient, I think he'll get the grappling with Roosevelt, get him to the mat, and actually probably win, like with a submission or kind of TKO from the ground. I just think he'll overpower Roosevelt, kind of out experience him. Knowledge and, you know, just knowledge is power. He's been around the block a bit. And Yakovlev looked great at 155, I won't lie. I think, you know, he's what, 35 or something like that. He's kind of not young to be going down that weight class, but I think he looks superb.
It's a tough fight. I do like Roosevelt Roberts quite a bit, actually. I think there's a lot that can be he can be moulded into a really good fighter. And I mean, he's coming in here against Yakovlev, who he's kind of in and out of the sport. Sometimes you'll see him around a couple of fights a year, then you'll not see him for like 18 months, and he kind of fades around. I mean, his couple of wins in the UFC for Roosevelt is Daryl Horcher, who's a tough vet, and then Thomas Gifford, who really was never UFC quality. I've seen that he got cut today, I think it was. I've seen in a post that he got cut from the UFC. And then he faced a super experienced, tough, gritty dude in Vince Pichel. I thought he fought a good fight, but Pichel was... he's just a tough guy. He's a really, really, really tough guy to face. And that was maybe a step up a little bit too soon, in my opinion. I think Pichel was a big betting underdog. I think I bet him in that spot there. But he'll learn a lot from that, and he'll want to rebound. That's his first loss. He would have learned what to do and kind of how to kind of move himself forward and not put himself in that situation again. When you look at Yakovlev, he faced Alex De Silva, I think Coelho last time out, and I think Roosevelt Roberts is a far superior fighter to what that guy is, and Coelho gave him a little bit, gave him a few problems in that fight, and but eventually the experience came through for Yakovlev. I mean, when you give him these young fighters, and I think he can thrive against them. I like the athleticism and the strength of Roberts. I think he can on the feet. I think he's more slicker than what Yakovlev is. I think it'll come down to the grappling. You've got someone in Yakovlev who's very, very seasoned on the mat. But I'm going to take Roosevelt Roberts here, actually. I'm going to take him to... I think the athleticism, the quickness is just going to prove a little bit too much for Yakovlev. But Yakovlev, I'm just looking at the betting odds, he's a pretty sizable underdog. I'm a little bit surprised at that, especially being in Russia. So I am going to take Roosevelt Roberts for the win here. I just think that Yakovlev's not going to implement the game plan that he really wants to against a kind of faster, more experienced, I think a better grappling what Queller was as well. So I'll take Roosevelt Roberts.
Next up we have in the bantamweight division, we have Grigorii Popov against Davy Grant, Will. So what are you looking forward to in this one?
Yeah, I liked a couple of things I've seen from Popov, but I think he's very, very, very low quality in the UFC. I don't rate him getting many wins. I think it was a tough first fight against Eddie Wineland. Showed a couple of nice kind of nuances with, he used a double jab quite well, but he's, like I say, he's very durable. You can see that, he can take a shot, but he is super old as well. So Davy Grant, I think his career's pretty much on the line here, if I'm being honest with you. I think that he really needs to come through here and try and win this fight. He's kind of been in and out of the sport. He's been in great fights where he's had to pull out of fights against Manny, and then when he gets those fights, he got starched by Manny, and that was, let's say, that's another year out. So he hadn't fought in 2 years previous, and now he's took another nearly, was it 16 months again? So it's a tough ask, I think. But I think it's a matchup he can win. I think that he's super experienced, obviously, in the UFC, even though it's crazy. He's been in the UFC for 6 years and had 4 fights.
Yeah. I'm surprised they've kept him, if I'm honest with you.
Yeah,
I'm not being negative, but I would have been like, look, you can't be doing that.
Yeah, that's not a lot. That surprised me. I knew he was there for a while, but 6 years in the UFC and only fighting like once every year and a half, pretty much. That's not great. But tough fight. I think Davey is kind of live a little bit. But I'm going to take Popov. Like I say, I've not looked into this fight one bit, so I'm kind of going off a gut here, but I'm going to go Popov via decision, maybe even a stoppage.
Yeah, I'm looking at this fight and I'm thinking Popov as well. The experience of the Muay Thai as well. He's not the greatest all-round fighter, but from a stand-up point of view, he's far superior to Davy Grant. He's got quicker strikes, like you say, the good jabs, 1-2s, leg kicks, everything. He mixes up his combinations really well. For Davy Grant, he just wants to get this to the ground and get submissions going. That is what Grant needs to get here. But Popov, he's Russian as well. So he's going to have the home advantage. And like I say, consistency for Davy Grant, he's not fighting enough. I just worry that, I know he's drilling at the gym, I know he's training, but I kind of go towards Popov on this one. I just worry that he's not going to be able to provide enough of an offering on the feet to really trouble Popov to get it to the mat. I think Popov will be able to really start to lay into Grant, especially in maybe the second and third round when they're a bit more sweaty. Grant can't get a takedown as well, possibly. So I'm with you, bro. I am going Popov via decision. Next up we have in the women's bantamweight division, Pannie Kianzad against Jessica Rose Clark. I've got to be honest with you, I enjoyed Pannie. She's sound, she's a good girl, but I'm going with Jessica Rose Clark on this one. I think Jessica's probably she's got a little bit more about her on her quality, on her output. She throws some good combinations, she throws some good strikes, but she also can deliver a little bit more on the finished product. I think Pannie is not too bad with the clinch work on the cage, but I think she's hittable. When she's hittable, and what I mean by that is she can wobble a little bit when she gets cracked. And Jessica Rose Clark has got a good kind of jab overhand. Like, it's not a high overhand right, it's like an overarching kind of right hand that lands pretty well in fights. So I think she's going to land that a couple of times on Pannie when the jab returns or left hook. She's going to just pop that over the top and land there. So I think Pannie might want to try and get the fight to the ground, but I think Jessica's going to be hard to get to the ground. I think it's going to be a tough one for Pannie to get. I think it'll be a grapple fest on the cage for a bit, and I think then Jessica will just start to really open up on the feet. And even the Jessica fight, Jessica Rose Clark had a pretty good offering in that. She looked good. considering I think Jessica Rise was far more experienced, far more, kind of know-how, fight IQ and everything in the game. She had a good go in that fight, Jessica Rose Clark. She wasn't that far off what Jessica I is, kind of sort of speak, in that division. So I look forward to see what Jessica Rose Clark can do here and offer in this fight. I think Pannie, I think she just won't make it in this one. I think she'll probably lose decision, possibly.
Yeah, I'm actually going to go the other way. I'm picking Pannie. I really, like I say, this week's just been a struggle for watching any fights for me whatsoever, so it's going off I got. But these two fought before, and if I remember right, I think Pannie got takedowns in that one. They fought away back in Invicta 2015, which was, I think Pannie was still undefeated, and during that time she came out from Cage Warriors, was super confident, went to Invicta, won that fight, and she got a title shot after that. And since then she's been really up and down. She kind of lost her confidence. I thought she kind of got some of that back in the Ultimate Fighter. But yeah, she's I think she's the bigger girl. I think she is going to be looking for takedowns. I think she might have to kind of take a few blows in the feet. I think that Jessica Rose might actually kind of bust her up a little bit, but I think takedowns will be there. Plus, Jessica Rose Clark's coming off a pretty bad injury. I think she had to get surgery or something on her foot or her leg or something, if I remember right off the top of my head. So she's coming back after nearly a year and a half off. It's a hard fight to choose, honestly. I think that it's one of these coin flip fights that could go either way. If Jessica Rose stuffs takedowns, I think she will beat Pannie on the feet. If Pannie gets her to the ground once a round, I think she takes that round kind of with her top position and her pressure up top. But it's close. I would want no part of this betting really, but I'll sit back and I'll take Pannie to win the fight. But it is really, really close. So yeah.
Nice. And then the welterweight division, we've got Khabib's brother getting signed up to the UFC. Abubakar Nurmagomedov. Sorry. David Zawada. Nice fight. Interesting fight in the welterweight division. What can you see from that one?
I think Khabib's brother's very average. Very average. I don't think he's all that good. I think that he'll get found out in the UFC. I think at this level, depending on the matchups they give him, I think that he'll get found out. I wasn't impressed with him in the World Series of Fights. Like the guys that he's fighting, I mean, he's got a couple of signature wins in there. If you look at John Howard, who's a name, but outside of that, I mean, it's not. I don't think he's great. I think he's very average, but I think he's got another kind of average opponent here. Now, not saying that Zawada's a bad opponent. I think he's very tough. You have to mind your P's and Q's against this guy because he throws with heavy intentions and he throws to really knock you out. And we've seen really fun fights with him in the UFC as well. I think it was Li Jingliang and Danny Roberts was a great fight.
Yeah.
And especially in the Danny Roberts one, he could have ultimately got the decision in that one. I thought it was right giving it to Danny, but I'll say that because I'm a Danny Roberts fan. But yeah, I in Russia, I don't think this is the time to fade Abubakar Nurmagomedov. I think he's going to win this one. I think he's got a decent opponent. The betting line's off. It's heavy. He's like a heavy favourite, so you're taking a poke at maybe a decent underdog. Zawada might be a play, but I think this will be a boring fight. I think he'll get takedowns. I think that Zawada will be able to get back to his feet and he'll just rinse, repeat takedowns. I've got Nurmagomedov to win here, but I'll be looking closely going forward at maybe picking against him because, like I said, I think he's very average. I don't rate him all that highly, so I'll take him to win via decision though.
Yeah, I wasn't overly impressed by what I saw of him. I didn't think he was awful. Don't get me wrong. I'm not gonna write the kid off, but I'm with you on that one. I thought he did. There was some fights that I watched. Which one? The Kutch fight, the Pavel Kutch fight when he got submitted there. He got dropped, he got rocked, and he got taken care of, so to speak. And like you say, decision wins, used the wrestling to his advantage. But I didn't see it as a superior kind of style. Similar to his brothers with the wrestling, but I think his brothers still. I think Khabib is a higher level. I think he'll probably. David Zawada's he's not got the knockout power, I think, to maybe potentially get Abu out. So I think that will kind of hinder him in this fight. I think He'll land some strikes, don't get me wrong, but I think he'll just land them as Abu's coming in and gets the takedowns. And like you say, well, I think come second round, third round, Dave will start to gas a little bit with the wrestling. It will just start to drag down on him, and I think you'll see Abu just kind of get on top of him and just keep on top for the rounds, get the points, and simple decision win for him. But he's not his brother.
No.
I don't know how else to say it, but he's not going to do what his brother did in the UFC. Not a chance. But he'll do well. He'll win he'll win a handful of fights, but he's not going to be the level of his brother. Next up, we have in the middleweight division, we have Kopylov against Kyle Roberson. I like this matchup for Kyle. If I'm honest, I'm pretty high on Kyle on this one. I think that his speed and size will play a huge factor in it. I don't think Roman's a big middleweight, if I'm honest. When I watch him fight in his matches, I didn't think he was overly. I don't believe he cuts that much to make middleweight. I don't think he was huge in any kind of facet. I wasn't overly impressed with his output either. It looked like he has good conditioning, but the opponents he was facing kind of, I don't want to say gassed out, but I just felt that they were just always kind of moving kind of on their back foots a bit, and he was kind of aggressive with the footwork, but I just didn't see a lot of output from him, so I wasn't overly impressed by his output. He throws a couple of combinations, head kicks, but I think Karl's got the size and the power to really hurt Roman here, and I think that Karl can get this put away. So I'm actually going to go with Karl with stoppage here. I think he hits hard. He hits really hard, and I'm kind of confident that Karl will put him away on this one. Actually, I think Roman's going to have a tough fight on this one.
This is actually, I get people every week that message me about fights, and this is one of the ones that people are like really asking me about. And like I say, I haven't really watched much this week. During fight week, I usually get quite a bit done. Or like the fight week before, I'll get quite a bit done, but I had no luck this time. I watched Roman Kopylov. I've known about him beforehand, and I went back and watched some of his fights probably a week to 10, 14 days ago. And this is one people are asking. A lot of people really like Roberson, and I can see why they like Roberson here. I think that like he's fought up at 205, big dude, like you say. Kopylov doesn't look all that kind of menacing for 185. He can maybe get down to maybe 170. Who knows?
That's what I was thinking.
And like you say, he's 8-0. I think it is in his career. 28 years old, so he's kind of taken a bit of a time to get the UFC, but he's coming into his prime, and he's going to be doing that in the UFC. I think there's a high ceiling for the kid. I really like him. But predominantly this is going to be a stand-up fight, and Roberson's had a lot of glory experience, kickboxing experience, looks very, very fluid with his striking, and he's thrown some beautiful combinations in the UFC, and that's something here. This predominantly, I think, is going to be a stand-up fight, and I think it's just going to be super close. I really do. I think it's this kind of reeks to me that this could be. It might look like Roberson wins, but Kopylov's going to get a decision on the scorecard. This one kind of really reeks like that fight's what's going to take place. But when I look at Kopylov, like I say, a striker, his fundamentals I think are really, really good. His gauging of distance is really good. I think that really good takedown defense, which I don't think is going to really come into use yet. I kind of see
Karl's not that great on the ground, but
yeah, maybe Kopylov might actually kind of try that tactic and try and take the ground. You haven't seen it too much if you watch his fights before his UFC tenure here. He's not tried it really at all, to be honest with you. Really fast twitch jab, dangerous left hand, feints quite a lot to kind of get movements out of his opponents, but that might not really happen as much considering Roberson's experience on the feet. Super accurate, and like I say, he's really good range fighter, and he can spin as well. Like I said, I just think this is going to be close. I think the big shots are going to count here. I'm going to take Kopylov via a hometown decision. I've got that feeling with this fight big time, and the money's been coming in on Karl Roberson. He was a pretty hefty underdog, but he's kind of went down to, I think it's more or less a pick'em fight now. So, but But like I said, I'm not super confident Kopylov, but I've got the feeling he's just somehow going to squeak a decision, even though he looks like he's lost. So Kopylov for me.
Next up in the welterweight division, Will, we have Rustam and Khabilov against Sergey Khandozhko.
Yeah.
This is going to be a fun fight, man. This is going to be a fun battle between these two, bro. But who are you looking to win the battle, though?
I wasn't impressed. I've still not really been impressed with what I've seen from Khandozhko. He was supposed to fight Michel Pereira. I actually thought that might have been a fight he could have been very, very live in. But this one here, Khabilov's just a hard guy to face, and he's definitely reclining. I think he's been declining for a few fights now, but he still makes fights competitive. That fight with Diego Ferreira, he still got takedowns.
Yeah.
He still was in the fight. Majority of the time he was getting outboxed, he was getting beat up in the feet, but he was getting takedowns. I think he can get kind of reactionary takedowns out of Khandozhko. That's what he's going to do. He's going to want to grapple. He's not going to, after kind of getting beat up in the feet last time, he's going to want to take this to the ground. And again, I think that he's got everything here. When I look at Khandozhko in his UFC debut, I think that Akman's very, very, very inexperienced at this level, where Khabilov's been in the UFC for years and he's been rattling off win after win after win. I just think this has got and plus I think he's moving up to 170 for the first time. Khabilov, so that the weight cut's not going to be as bad. He maybe have a little bit more energy, and he's just got so much more experience in the UFC. So I'm going to go Khabilov. I'm
with you on that as well, Will. I think that Sergey likes to do the spinny stuff, let's say, which is, there's a high reward, high risk factor with it, and I think one of the factors that he has to take into account is that he's got a guy that want to take him down. So throwing these spinny stuff kind of can leave you open and exposed to takedowns because you're potentially off balance momentarily. There's often chances where the takedowns are in. I think Rustam is just wanting to go pressure him. And Rustam does. He did that in his last fight. He was pressure. He was still pressuring, even though he was getting outboxed, like you said, Will. But I think Rustam's going to do the same again. He's going to pressure and get the takedowns, grapple, and he'll throw heavy, big strikes, not to necessarily land, but just to engage in the grappling aspect. So I think Sergey, a little bit, I don't know, I'm not quite sold on him. I think there's other. I think Sergey versus Danny Roberts would have been a good one as well. It's like there's certain fights that would have, like say Pereira would have been a good one. There's a handful of guys that he could fight that would work for him. I just think, like you say, he's fighting a guy with a obscene amount of experience, and even though he's not at his prime, so to speak, he's declining. Like say, Will, I think he's just getting figured out. He's not. He can still win fights, and this is a kind of winnable fight for him. So I'm going Rustam as well. This is probably a decision win, just wrestle for 3 rounds. Interesting one here in the light heavyweight division. Magomed Ankalaev against Dalcha Lungiambula. This one is an interesting one, Will, because you've got Dalcha, who is in need of some carbohydrates because he's a shredded monster, against Magomed Ankalaev, who I'll rephrase that. I was very impressed with his performance against Klidson, but my only worry was with the Klidson fight. I was like, you messed his nose up, wrapped it around the back of his skull in the first round. I think it was like a couple of minutes into the first round. How did you not get that fight finished? How did you not finish that fight within that time? Because why did you not just jab that face? Throw the jabs till the nose, just the pain is beyond control. Just get when the adrenaline starts wearing off. I thought you could have just kept hitting the nose. It'll puff the eyes up, bit of swelling. So I was a bit frustrated with that. I thought Ankalaev should have, in fact, got the finish there. Kudos to Klidson, because I probably would have just jumped over the cage and went, nope, nah, I'm going home. This is it. Nah, don't want to do this anymore. And but he's finding a dude in Dalcha who's just a tank of a man who just throws heavy and he throws so hard. And Klidson rocked Ankalaev in their fight as well. He clipped him and rocked him and wobbled him a bit. But I'm weirdly going to pick Ankalaev here. I've got a sneaky feeling that Dalcha could absolutely starch him, but I just think the overall skill set, knowledge, striking, wrestling, everything, the kind of all-round game, Ankalaev is a better fighter all-round. On paper, he should win every time, but because Dalcha's got that freak power and strength, and he could try to outmuscle him, he could potentially. But I think Ankalaev should have the knowledge to out-grapple or reverse it or get up off the ground, etc. I think, or even on the exchanges, be able to get out of there. So I'm going to go with Ankalaev. He should win this fight. He could win decision. He could just outbox him and out-kickbox him and then, try to get a couple of takedowns and grapple exchanges. But I'm going to go with Ankalaev, but I'm not overly confident because Dalcha is one of those... I think he's going to be one of those anomalies where he has his moments where he just starches people when he shouldn't be doing what the guy should be going through him. But yeah, I'm going to go Ankalaev.
Yeah, this fight's just about not getting caught.
Yeah.
He doesn't get caught. He absolutely runs through this fight easily and wins probably a 30-27, if not a finish.
Yeah.
But after that Paul Craig stunt, I don't think I can ever trust that guy. He came out at these betting odds, and I thought, oh, that's really good. And then now he's a huge favourite, and I can see why, because fundamentally he's a far better fighter. But Dalcha's got that. He could just pull something out at any minute and hurt you. If he hurts you, he'll finish you. So, but for me, I've got Ankalaev. I think he's one of my more confident picks in the whole entire card. I just think that even since the thing is with that, everybody will remember the last second submission, but they'll forget about the 14 minutes 58 seconds of the rest of the fight where he absolutely whooped on Paul Craig for that entire fight, and he looked pretty dominant. Came back against Prachnio, knocked him out in the first. Beat a tough guy in Klidson Abreu, who was a bigger guy in that fight.
Yeah, because it was short notice. He missed weight. Yeah. So and Abreu's one of those guys that he's not overly good in the feet, but if he gets you to the grounding, you're in trouble. So did the kind of right things in that fight and won a fairly comprehensive decision. But I've got Ankalaev via a pretty much a 30-27 domination. Just don't get caught. Yeah. Exactly. And speaking of Klidson, he kicks off the main card. Klidson Abreu with Shamil Gamzatov.
Yeah.
Will, what are you looking at this one, bro?
I'm not this is going to sound similar to Nurmagomedov here, but I think this guy's really average, and I know he's undefeated. But not when I watch some of these fights, and that's the guy that I watched last year in the PFL.
Yeah,
I wasn't impressed with him at all, and I think he's faced low caliber guys. I know he went to a split where Ronnie Wallace is a guy who's been around the sport for a long time. Eddie Gordon's been on his way out for many years after having that good run in Ultimate Fighter, obviously winning the thing, and but again he hasn't fought in well over a year. You look at Klidson, who is not averse to going into Russia and beating guys in the backyard, pretty much. I think there's going to be a close fight, but I think Klidson can start to get takedowns as this fight goes on. I think he's far better on the ground with his jiu-jitsu, but it's just about getting it there. On the feet, like I say, he's very open. That's why you were saying he got his nose kind of busted open pretty badly in his last fight. But if he gets it to the ground and he can get into a dominant position here, then he's going to win this fight, I think. And he is a big underdog this week, surprisingly to me. So I'm going to pick him to win this one here. I think he can get it to the ground. I think it might be kind of close in the opening kind of stanzas of the fight, but I think as he gets into that last kind of 2 minutes of the round there, he can maybe get takedowns and look for dominant positions and maybe find a submission. But you know what, I'm going to take Klidson via submission. I think he's going to catch him in something here, so I'll go Klidson Abreu via submission in probably round 2.
Nice, yeah. I was kind of swaying towards Shamil as well. I thought Klidson's kind of toughness against Ankalaev made me kind of think twice about the pick, because Shamil's got good crisp striking. He throws some good strikes, but the problem was I thought that he weren't knockout blows, and I thought the reason is he's quick and sharp with his strikes, because what he's doing is he's coming in with a kind of point style strike, so he's coming in explosive, coming in landing a strike and getting out quick, so he's not getting in return. So he's not planting the feet down to really kind of throw that power, and I just think that Klidson will eat that up, because he'll take that punch or take that kick, and it'll still suck, don't get me wrong, but he'll be able to take a punch like that. And I think he'll get the exchanges in. This where Shamil will have a bit of an issue, because I think Klidson's got to be a big guy in a weight class. Like you say, he's cutting to 205, feels comfortable that weight. I think he'll be big. I think he'll be able to grab Shamil and get him down to the mat. I don't know if he'll get a decision, but I think Klidson might be able to get the trips and cage work and hopefully get the decision win. So I'm going to decision win for Klidson, but Shamil has not got bad striking. I just don't think he's got crazy knockout power. I just wish he'd plant his feet down a little bit, and sometimes with his strikes that he lands, it's almost like he's admiring his work, and if he just followed up with a couple, he'd probably put the guys he was landing strikes on in a lot of trouble. Next up we have in the welterweight division, Ramazan Emeev against Anthony Martin. Welterweight fight. Hey, look, I like this matchup for Anthony Martin. I know I don't like going with this, but there's a big difference in the striking department, and I think Anthony Martin's got a better striking. Like, I know he got a bit manhandled by Damian Maia, but I'm going to be out there. Find me people who often don't have trouble with Damian Maia. He's just an absolute pain in the ass. And I thought Ricky Martin, I'm going to call him Ricky Martin because forget Anthony and forget Rocco. Call him Ricky Martin because he dated Kayla Harrison. He did date. I think they've split now. But yeah, I thought that he was too heavy. He was too heavy, too wide stance, and too conscious of the takedown attempt from Damian Maia. It actually gave Damian Maia the takedown. I thought if Anthony struck and boxed how he does normally, he probably wouldn't have gotten taken down so early if he threw more jabs out, threw more straights out. I think Emeev has got some ridiculous grappling, insane grappling. He is very good at that. And Ricky, he has to be aware of this. Ricky Martin, Chico time, get those hips moving. And I thought that I think it's a bit of a step up for Emeev. I know we fought Sam Alvey in the past, but I don't class Sam Alvey as anything overly special. But I think Martin can get the strikes off in this fight. I really do. I think he could back up. I think he'll grapple for a bit. Obviously, Martin's at ATT. They know what Emeev's going to be coming out with him. They know he's going to be coming for the takedowns. Work on the drills. Get up and just use your hands. I think Martin might cause the upset here and get the win. I think Emeev's probably a heavy favourite in this, but I'm going to go with Martin in this.
Yeah, I'm with you as well. You'll not see me pick Tony Martin all too often. But like I say, Emeev's very low output on the feet. He pretty much uses his striking to get to his grappling, and he usually gets that. Once he gets it there, he just kind of lays there.
Yeah.
And he's hard to get off you. But Rocco Martin's comes from a wrestling background, and he's got decent grappling himself. So if he stuffs these takedowns, I think that Rocco has kind of more variety in the feet, and that means that he might push Emeev to maybe throw more and kind of make him feel uncomfortable at throwing more and maybe being a bit more open to taking strikes. So yeah, I can see why I think Emeev is the betting favourite and Rocco is the underdog here. But I think this is a fight Rocco can really I think he's one of those guys that's just hovering outside around that top 20 of the division. And you get Damian Maia. Damian Maia threw many strikes in that one, but he got a hold of him one time per round and held him there. Typical Damian Maia, which you can do to absolutely anybody, pretty much if he was to get the hands on you. That happens. So Emeev, if he can't establish a takedown, then I think he could be in for a really tough fight, first of all, but a fight which he could definitely lose. But this is another one of these fights that screams that it might look like Anthony Martin wins the fight, but they might just give it to Emeev. But I'm going to take a shot on Martin in this one here, and hopefully he can stuff those takedowns and outgun him in the feet, because, like I say, he's got far more volume than Emeev. Emeev, like with his striking, his accuracy is fairly decent, but like I say, it's very low output. He just doesn't throw all that much per minute, so he looks for these grappling. I'm just going to take a shot on Rocco Martin to win this one here.
Nice. And next up in the welterweight division, again, another welterweight fight. It's packed with them in this card. Zelim Imadaev against Danny Roberts. Will, now, are you going to be biased? Or are you going to be non-biased?
It's, you know, I've already said this, how much I love Danny Roberts, and I have done for years. You've seen, like, me and you've interacted with him on many occasions. I've had pizza with him in Vegas. Not long after I had my wee girl, he was in Glasgow and we were talking about that, and he was just really, really nice, and one of the nicest guys that I think I've ever met in the sport. Honestly, I've got so much time for Danny, and I wish him all the best here, but it's that chin and his fight IQ is really hard to be confident to kind of get behind, because I picked him against Silva, and then he was initiating grappling scenarios with a guy who's far better on the ground, and I thought at times he was doing okay in that aspect. But the longer you stay down there, the more opportunities you're going to give a true Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt an opportunity to grab you, and he did. That's bad fight IQ, because on the feet he was lighting him up. He was really hard. I know he was taking a few strikes himself, but he was more crisper, he was landing more, and he was hurting him. Don't go to the ground with the guy. He did. And then last time out, he was just, Michel Pereira. You can see with Pereira, though, if he lands heavy, and he does land heavy, and all that flim-flam that he throws you off and you don't see it coming, then you can get knocked out. And we've seen that before, the Taleb fight, where he got hit with a clean shot and was grabbing the fence, and then got pretty much knocked out in the fence. But clean knockout over Oliver Enkamp, that doesn't really say much in my opinion. The Zawada fight was seriously back and forth, where, like I've said before, Zawada could have won the fight, Roberts could have lost, but I thought Danny did enough. But he took a lot of lumps in that fight as well. You know me, I want to pick Danny here, but it's really hard. Imadaev was a guy I actually picked against Max Griffin. I thought Griffin, in his debut, against him in Zelim's debut, I thought that he could mix it up, and that's what he did. He got hit with a lot of big strikes, though, and luckily his durability kind of kept him in that fight. If some of those strikes land on Danny Roberts, I don't know whether Danny can take those shots. But I think Danny Roberts can grapple, because we've seen that before he came into the UFC in Cage Warriors. He used to grapple. And he came into his UFC debut and he submitted a guy, but we've not really seen him go for takedowns at all. I don't think he's going to do it here. I think he's going to strike with Zelim, and I think he's going to get caught and he's going to get cracked and he's going to get knocked out in the first round. So I'm going to pick Imadaev to knock him out in the first, and that's horrible. So I
like how you went, Danny could grapple, and then you went, he's going to get knocked out though.
I think that's a surefire way that he can maybe change up, but Danny's, I think, too brave, and he's a striker at heart. He comes from, he works with Henry Booth, so, and I'm sure he works on his grappling, because you've got people like Cameron,
Chandler, Usman, all sorts,
everybody at that gym, not just pure strikers. You've got good grapplers, but no, I think that the chin's, I don't want to say it's gone, but it's very suspect at this minute. And sorry, Danny, but I'm going to go Imadaev here. Sorry, bro.
Yeah, I think, like I say with Max as well, I think Max got a strong grappling base than Danny, and he tried to use it against Zelim, and the kid showed really good endurance, if I'm honest. I thought in the third round he was coming on strong, Max was gassing, and the kid was throwing big and hard in the third and heavy, and I thought, man, Danny's got to deal with that for 3 rounds on the feet. I just can't. I just don't know how the guy's not going to land one heavy shot in 15 minutes. I just don't know where Danny's going to. Unless Danny has the perfect fight and evades every strike and lands crisp. I can't trust Danny's chin. You know, it's getting to that point, like we said before, where eventually it starts to go. Like with anyone, their chin goes. I wonder if Danny's the kind of same position where now they'll give him certain fights that will suit him, but it's a chin factor for me. I'm going with Zelim, Zelda, what do you want to call him, for a stoppage. I think he'll stop Danny at some point in the fight. So inside the distance, let's say.
Thing is as well, but if Zelim gets too aggressive, then Danny can absolutely crack him and counter strike him. No, he's got really good boxing himself. Yeah. But like you said, the chin is so suspect at the minute. Like I said, and I think this is, if he does lose this one, I don't think we'll see Danny kick around the UFC anymore. But I still think he'd be a really solid acquisition for someone like Bellator back in Europe. Even Cage Warriors bring him back, but I think that he'd want to probably go to Bellator, and like I say, there's big fights for him. He'd be a name over
there. Money as well,
yeah. As well, probably. So, yeah, but like I say, I'm 100% hoping Danny wins, but it's tough to really trust him here.
Next up, we have a co-main event, which is all switched around because of short notice, all stuff. Alexander Volkov against the wife beater Greg Hardy. I'm going to say Volkov's going to kill him, behead him, and be done with this scumbag. Will, what are you doing?
Yeah, it's
all for Will.
It's just a weird thing, this fight. Like, Volkov should absolutely outclass him, and probably will. Like that Greg Hardy, what I liked about the last fight from Greg Hardy, it wasn't a great fight, but what I liked seeing from Hardy in that one there is the fact that he's not rushing, he's picking his shots a little bit better, against a really kind of tough guy in Sosoli who can take a shot, but really is not that good.
Nope.
And like, I don't understand. Like, he did some stupid stuff that when I was watching, I was like, what did that dude just do? Like, did he honestly just do that? So, and then he's coming out in the press conference saying they're stopping me from being a monster. I'm still going to be a monster. Dude, just fight. Just forget all that shit that you do. You've already did inside the cage and whatever. Just fight. This here, there's no way I'm picking Greg Hardy against Volkov. Now, can Greg Hardy catch him? Absolutely, because we've seen that Volkov, if you catch him with the right shot, you can knock him out. But this is Derek Lewis, who can do that to anybody. I think Hardy can do that with a lot of guys, but I don't think he's going to do it with Volkov. I think Volkov's going to absolutely frustrate the life out of him, pop him from distance, negate any of the aggressiveness that Hardy's going to bring here, and he's going to outbox him for a full 15 minutes, and absolutely, I think he's going to frustrate the life out of Greg Hardy. This is going to be, and this it wouldn't surprise me if like Greg Hardy gets DQ'd for doing something absolutely stupid, because he's so frustrated.
Clothesline a referee
and doing something, or he'll do something. I'm not picking Greg Hardy. I'm going to pick Volkov to kind of win a very, very comprehensive 30-27.
Thank you very much. I feel better now that you finally went against him. Next up, we have in the main event, which is only 3 rounds. It's Zabit against Calvin Kattar. Buddy, down to 3 rounds, which changes the whole complex of things, so to speak. If you think about it, it was going to be 3 rounds anyway, but they moved to main event. What do you think about this fight, man? Yeah,
I think it's smart in Zabit's team. When they got offered, I'm sure they got offered the main event for this card. They keep it 3 rounds, because if it went 5, I'm 100% on board with Calvin Kattar in that spot. 100%. 3 rounds in Russia. That's going to be tough for Calvin Kattar to really win this fight without doing something spectacular. If it's close, if it's a close striking affair, you have to kind of really go on the Zabit side. Zabit's obviously a really, really good fighter, but I think there's definitely some frailties with this game. I think there is decent volume. I don't think there's much power with him with his hands, but with his kicks, I think he's very, very powerful. He's obviously a very, very good grappler as well, and he's a very dangerous guy at any time, because he's so big and he's so kind of demeaning in the cage that you just have to be careful. But his cardio doesn't check out. His cardio, I think, is a big worry. This is why 5 rounds I think, is going to be a tough stretch for this guy. I think when he goes to 155, you're going to see the complete Zabit Magomedsharipov. But what we've seen in the UFC tenure has been spectacular.
Not bad.
I'll take the Santiago fight. That was a good fight for him to really get introduced. He was flowing with his strikes. There was no real danger coming back at him, even though he got taken down he was a little bit too aggressive, so he got taken down really easily. The Shima Moraes one, I mean, he got hit with a few heavy leg kicks, but he outboxed him. He took him down at will. He passed guard at will. And Shima Moraes, I know he's not in the UFC anymore, but he You look at the guys who Shaman faced, he didn't face bad fighters at all.
No, he's legit, yeah.
And Zabit was winning that fight clearly until he got the submission in the third. He always looking for the finish. Bochniak was just a tough guy that he beat on for 3 rounds, outstruck him, took him down. Brandon Davis, far superior in every kind of aspect, I think. And then he beat Jeremy Stevens, who's like, you always have to be careful with Jeremy, but he's very, very limited as a fighter. If he doesn't hit you with a big shot, he's not going to beat you pretty much. But Calvin Kattar, when you look at him here, like his boxing's, I can't remember who they were talking about. Masvidal. Tournament Masvidal probably having the best pure boxing maybe in the UFC, which I kind of agree with. I think Masvidal's up there, but I think Calvin Kattar is like not far behind him.
His jab is legit.
Yeah, his boxing is legit. Like, and you've seen that in the finisher Lamas, where he's very, very accurate, very precise, very quick, very powerful. So if you give him the opportunity to kind of get those shots off, then he could ultimately knock Zabit out, because Zabit's making like that cut down to 145. That chin's going to start deteriorating a little bit the more you're cutting weight down to that division.
Yeah, and when you're taking shots as well over time, it's accumulation.
He's got some great wins, like File, Burgos, Lamas, great wins, and he's still one of the most kind of underrated guys, I think, at 145.
Yeah, I think the Burgos one was a really, really good win.
That's one of the sickest knockouts I think I've seen in years. Like, it's one of my favourite ones actually, because we've seen at the weekend that Burgos, when he turns it on,
he is a dangerous motherfucker.
He's for days as well.
Yeah.
It's a tough fight, because I think Calvin Kattar is a really live fighter for a knockout at any minute, but Zabit's got a lot of dimensions about his game that is really, really hard to get ready for. His size, the way he moves, plus fighting in Russia. Zabit's got, from what I hear, is a massive star over there. If this fight's close in a striking affair, they're going to give it to Zabit. So Calvin Kattar, in my opinion, has to do something substantial in those rounds to claim those rounds. That's what I'm saying. Over 5 rounds, I'm thinking if this goes into 4 and 5, then I think Kattar can knock him out. 3 rounds, I think that he's going to be up against it. I really do. I think that it could look close, but again, they'll give it to Zabit, Magomedsharipov. But if I'm betting here, if I was betting, there's only one way to go, and that's Calvin, because Calvin is a big underdog here. I think it's a little bit wrong that he's that big of an underdog, but I'm going to pick Zabit to win probably a 29-28 decision, maybe even a 30-27, even though it probably doesn't look like a 30-27.
I think money would have went on Zabit straight away when everyone found out it was a 3-round fight. That's why Calvin's went to such a big underdog. Because if it was a 5-round fight, I think it would, like you say, Will, I'm with you. I'd be Calvin all day long in a 5-round fight, because Zabit would just not enjoy that at all, and Calvin could just start putting the pressure on, knowing that it's a 5-round fight. But in this one, Calvin has to put the pressure on again. But then he's got to be careful, like you say, with the boxing. If he comes forward overly aggressive, Zabit can get the takedowns. Zabit's got really good grappling aspect that he doesn't tend to show an awful lot, depending on the opponent, because he doesn't need to in a way, because he's got a strike in which, he uses that very well. He's got creative movement on the ground. I like Zabit on the ground. I think in this fight, Zabit's going to definitely be mixing this fight up. I think you'll see a bit of everything with Zabit in this fight. 3 rounds. I think he'll get the takedowns more so to secure the rounds. I think Calvin will be 100% golden at the end of it. I think he'll be not knocked out. I think it'll be a decision win for Zabit. I just think Zabit's going to get the takedowns in, kind of mid part of the rounds, just to make sure the points are in the bag. Even if Calvin gets up, at least he's scored what he needs. I think also Calvin, in this fight, he really needs to kind of go heavy on the jab and the leg kicks and trying to slow Zabit down a bit to get the boxing off. And he has to do that early. First round, he has to really land heavy with the leg kicks to try and get Zabit's attention, slow him down to get the boxing in the second and third rounds for that to be effective. I just don't know if Zabit will be there for those leg kicks necessarily, because I think he might be in for the takedowns, and I think the kind of style that Zabit does have, which is a bit flashy sometimes, let's say, that's the reason why he gasses as well. Some of the moves he throws, it's very exhausting. So I'm going to go with Zabit decision, But Calvin, if he does apply those leg kicks early, slows the beat down, he could absolutely box the socks off him in the second and third round. But, man, I wish that was a 5-round fight. God damn it, do I wish that was a 5-round. Zabit would shit his pants. Now I'm going to go over to, before we go over to the bets, give us your picks down below. Let us know who you're going to go for in this fight, and the main event and all the other fights. If any fights are picking kind of your interest, so to speak, let us know. And Will, bets-wise, you talked about the odds before, but give us some insight into potential bets you're going to do or what we should be looking out for.
Yeah, it's all potential bets. I've got nothing made here yet because, like I say, I've had no time, literally no time within the last week. So, and probably not in the next couple of days. But I will have a couple of bets for this card. I'm going to bet Klidson Abreu.
Okay.
He's an underdog right now. He's going to be an underdog by fight time. He's +1. Where is in the lines actually? I don't know. I cannot even see. Oh, +175. So he's a big underdog. I think that those odds should kind of shorten up a little bit. So I'll probably be playing him. I think it's a tough card. There's a lot of kind of hefty favourites. I was thinking, right, where could I throw a parlay in here? And it's hard. Initially, I was looking at Zabit, and I thought, no, because Cullen's a good fighter that could catch him at any time.
What's Popov and Grant?
Popov is -190, Grant's +165. I think that should be a little bit closer. Like I say, if I'm making a play if I'm not betting the underdog in the main event in Calvin Kattar, I like to beat to win via decision +120. I'd like a little bit more than that, but that'd be the play in that one. Outside of that, Rocco.
What about Ankalaev and Roberts, bro? What are the odds on them?
Underdog. Ankalaev's 145 +145. Roosevelt Roberts is -165. I can maybe see that tighten up a little bit. Maybe Roosevelt comes down. I might think about playing him, but yeah, I'm not too sure. Kopylov is -120. If he becomes a favourite, that might tempt me. But like I say, Ankalaev's a massive favourite now. I was thinking about betting him at minus. I think he was -175. He's -300 now. So stay on Dalcha, but. Like I say, I'm not going to, after what he did, Paul Craig did to him, I'm never betting that guy again.
No.
Imadaev is -210 now. It's a tough fight. It's a tough card for betting again. I kind of thought last week, and I did really well. I cashed, I think I had 4 bets. I had, what did I have last week? Arce, lost that fight. I thought that was close, but I did think Dawoodu actually won the fight. And then I bet Masvidal, Wonderboy, and Corey Anderson were the bets.
Okay.
So I had a really good couple of weeks with some nice big underdogs hitting. Like I said, I'm going to play Abreu. Rocco Martin's kind of tempted me a little bit, even though he's not a guy I kind of push myself to maybe bet, especially in Russia or whatever. But Volkov's -270. He to me is a parlay piece.
Yeah.
But he's hard to match up with somebody. Maybe a Khabilov, but then I'm not feeling that all too much. Close fight with Jessica Rose Clark and Pannie Kianzad, like -105, -115. Pick 'em. So it's not unless you're good at your prop bets or whatever. If there might be some fights going to decision here, which might actually be decent, or maybe the under in the Roberts Imadaev fight, maybe under 1.5 might be a bet I'll look at. But yeah, like I said, I have no bets. I will definitely bet Klidson Abreu. That's one I'm going to make. Like I said, initially I liked the Roberson line when I think it was +130.
Yeah.
Then I do kind of like Kopylov in a close fight there. But like I say, if you've got any bets, guys, just drop them down below and get in touch, and then you can claim all the glory if those fights come. We'll give you a shout out if your bets come through. So like I said, let's say if you've got some bets and they hit next week, we'll give you a shout out on the show and before a Brazil prediction. So yeah.
Yeah, we've got that Brazil card coming next week, so tune in for that. We're headlined by Blachowicz and Grigorii, so that's going to be wonderful to see.
Yeah.
Some cracking fights, yeah. Charles Oliveira, you got Paul Craig fighting Shogun, which is an insane one.
I did not even know about that until today. 2 hours, I looked at the odds and I was like, Paul Craig. I I thought that Sam Alvey was fine. I didn't even know he pulled out.
Pulled out, yeah.
And I think Paul Craig might actually have a chance in that fight. Roughly enough, that'd be interesting.